What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live, joined as always by my co-host, Jonathan Holder. Jonathan, what's going on, brother?
Man, it is so good to be back talking to chat.
There it is.
It's been a while, and it's been a tumultuous time. But regardless of what's going on with the Falcons, I always enjoy coming and hanging out with you guys.
There it is. That's it. That's it. Yep. No, it's obviously we've missed the last couple weeks. Not missed, like bye week. We planned on not doing a show. And then we had, personal stuff pop up last week. But we are back and not under the best circumstances as far as football is concerned.
Yep.
Because boy, oh boy, it's Kirktober is definitely over, and Kirkvember never did materialize. And hopefully we can get into the festive spirit as we move into the last month of the season. Because my lord, these past few games have been brutal, my friend.
Yeah, we definitely need a strong finish to the season. Um, we'll see how it ends up going, but for a lot of people that are going to be sitting there, worried about, if let's just say that we go on and we lose another couple games or whatever. um I will just say, and I'm not saying that this is it will for sure happen or anything like that, but Dan Quinn's first year came out the gate super duper hot, completely crumbled in the second half of that season, with Shanahan, with all the tools, all the weapons that we had, and we completely just crumbled down the stretch, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, what is going on here?"
Oh
And
yeah,
and then you come back the next year and you make it to the Super Bowl. So, like, I'm not going to say I like the coaching staff. I like Raheem, Jimmy Lake.
debatable.
Granted, the defense has looked a lot better
And come out of the bye looking
pass
much, yeah.
from a pass rush perspective. They have looked a lot better. They've given up a little bit more big plays, but look, at the end of the day, giving up a big play here and there, but getting much more pass rush. If that's kind of the trade off, then I'm willing to take it, because then you run into teams like like what we're getting ready to run up against. They're not going to be as good. Yes, is it going to bite you a little bit with some of the teams like a Minnesota? Sure, they got elite weapons on the outside. They're sometimes they're just going to get you. But at the end of the day, the better that pass rush looks, the better off you're going to be in the long run. And I like what I'm seeing from the pass rush. So, and I was ready to throw Jimmy Lake to the curb. I don't know if it's Jimmy Lake. I don't know if it's Jerry Gray. I don't know if it's Raheem Morris. I don't know what happened. But since the bye, they have literally almost doubled our season sack total with these last two games. So whatever it is, keep doing that on the defensive line. Shore up the back end a little bit. Let's get those touted safeties. Make sure they're not in the wrong spots, and let's try to keep some of these big plays from happening.
Right. No, I completely agree. They got to keep it. They got to keep it going. Um, as to Tony Wright's comment, he says the only way we win the division is we have to go 4-0 on these last four games. I don't think we have to go 4-0.
Yeah, I mean we're down. Well, I mean, okay, it all depends on what the Bucks do, right? If
Well,
the
that's what I'm
Bucks go
saying.
0,
If the Bucks go 4-0 in their last four games, which their last four games are the Cowgirls, the Saints, the Panthers, and the Chargers, which our last four games are the Panthers, the Raiders, the Giants, and Washington. We could easily come out 3-1, both of us. And if we
yeah.
come out 3-1, that I think we end up with the same record. Is that right? I'm looking at this right.
If we come out 3-1,
So if we get
they would have to go 2-2.
They would have to go 2-2. Okay, so we got to hope that they go 2-2, because if we go 3-1, we still would have the ability to win the division. They have
Well,
to lose.
if we go 4-0 and they go 4-0, like if they win their last 4 games along with us winning the last 4 games, they win the division because they're 1 game ahead of us right
Yeah,
now.
they're 1 game ahead of us.
We have to at least be tied with them at the end of the season. If we're tied at the end of the season,
Yeah.
then we have the tiebreaker off. We win the division.
Yeah, so I mean, they in that aspect they fumbled the bag. Like they fumbled the by losing to the Saints, by not being able to beat the Chargers and going on this 3-game losing streak, you lost control of the division. You lost the control of your destiny. Now you have to hope. But let's just be like real clear on the whole situation. You get in right now, and like, does anybody have any confidence at this junction that if we were to get in, that we're going, other than host a playoff game here, that we're going to make any kind of noise? Like, they would have to win the next 4 games and have to do it convincingly for me to enter the playoffs going, okay, we've, gone through adversity and, come out the other side, so to speak.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, if you were to put us in the playoff right now, it'd be laughable because I don't.
Well, the only thing you got going for you at that point is you get to the dance, and then you never know.
Oh right? Yeah, of course. Like obviously, like it's a you never know type situation. But if we get into the dance playing like we are currently, I may not. You never know, but I'm pretty sure I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let's get into this real quick. We got some super chat stuff coming in that we want to get into. All right, so we got Willie Doc with $10. We appreciate you, Willie. He says, Godspeed P for P, Jonathan in the chat. Baller, Bijan and Pass Rush, Faller, Morris and the D-backs. Still glass half full. Not ready for Penix, but Cousins should do some soul searching. Yeah, for real. Then he adds with another $5, and we appreciate greatly.
Absolutely. Appreciate it again, Willie.
You mentioned Algier as a fullback / running back. Side-eye glance to McLeod. How do you manage to take 2 steps forward and backwards at the same time?
Look, being a return guy, like like just the nature of it's not as crazy as it used to be with the way the kickoffs are these days. But when you get a kickoff, the chances of a fumble, like those things are going to happen from time to time, just the nature of that, that play. Was it a bad time? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have? But it hasn't been that way all season. This is the first, as far as I know. I think this is the first fumble, at least from a kickoff, that we've lost all season long. So
yeah,
bad timing. It sucks.
Well, I saw something a couple weeks ago talking about like the Falcons on some rating have been like the unluckiest team in the league. I think as far as like fumbles and things like that, but yeah. Fred Butts with $10. We appreciate you, Fred.
Thank you, Mr. Butts.
He says, I think we're going to win the division, but Raheem needs to be a leader and bench Kirk and stop trying to be DQ and a player's coach. Like, you're asking Raheem to do something he's not. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I had this conversation the other day with a guy on the job site. Like, Raheem is a well-respected, coach who's loved by players and other coaches. Like, this is who he is. Like, he is a player's coach. He's not a Bill Belichick. He's not a fire and brimstone. He's not an Arthur Smith in that aspect. Like, this is who Raheem is. It's either going to work for him and he's going to be able to, coax the great out of players, or he's not. Like, keep in mind, for all people who like want to think that player coaches don't work, Andy Reid is a player's coach.
Yep.
Like, flat out. Andy Reid is a player's coach. And so is like Tony Dungy was a player's coach.
Yep.
Like, just
McVay.
Yeah, Sean McVay is a player's coach. So, like, this is not players coach.
You can say Sirianni too.
Yeah, you could say Sirianni is a player's coach.
As much as he has such a punchable face, but still
He does
he
that.
is.
Like, I mean, and Mike Tomlin's a player's coach.
Yeah.
Like, don't hardly anybody ever say anything bad about Mike Tomlin. So, yeah, it's players coach is not a bad thing. There's a part of us that we need to remember as Falcons fans, whether we decide to remember this or not, is these guys are all in their first year here. Yes, Raheem has been a coach in the league for a while. Yes, he had a stint in his younger years as a head coach, not in a very favorable situation, but he has had a stint as a head coach. But this is all these guys' first year together. We're expecting them to be the Detroit Lions in year one when the Detroit Lions weren't the Detroit Lions in year one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they only won like 2 games year
Maybe
one.
3, something like that.
Well, I think they tied one. I think they were like,
oh, that's right,
2 whatever in one. Like Shanahan, like first couple years. So I don't know. There's part of me that has to remind myself that, and part of that problem is the going out and signing of Kirk Cousins. But we'll get into that here in just a second because I have thoughts and theories on that. So let me get this up and rolling for the shows. Let's see.
So just so we know, the Lions were 3-13-1 in Dan Campbell's first season.
Right.
They started the season 0-10-1. And then they would have went 3-3 in their last 6 games.
Exactly. Now, like, there is this prevailing thought. A lot of people are going to point back to Raheem's time as the interim coach here, and which they didn't really necessarily do all that great. But again, the one thing you have to remember there is he didn't have a say in who was like on the roster at that point. So This is, for better or worse, if you want to put it in this perspective, this is Raheem's first real time of actually getting to construct a team the way he wants it constructed.
Yep.
And that, unfortunately, takes time. So, all right, Ballers and Fallers, as presented by Pound for Pound. Baller. Arnold Ebiketie. Now, Arnold Ebiketie, in the sense of really the D line, as you alluded to earlier, since the bye, they have just about doubled our sack production in the past 2 games, with amassing 8 sacks, 4 against the Chargers and 4 against the Vikings. So it's not just necessarily Arnold Ebiketie. It is the whole D line kind of, finally getting together, getting Caden Ellis in there a little bit more. So,
yep. Ebiketie's had 3 sacks in the last couple of weeks. So since the bye,
right.
He got his first sack against the Cowboys. Then against the Broncos, we didn't get anything. Then against the Chargers, 2, 1 against the Vikings. So he's starting to heat up as he's gotten more playing time. So
right, and his snaps have gone up, and let's see, what is Caden Ellis currently sitting at sack wise? He's at 3 sacks. So Caden Ellis is at 3. Ebiketie's at 4, Judon's at 3.5, and then Onyemata's got 2, and Grady's got 2.5. It's still not like screaming numbers, but hey, even Eddie Goldman's got a sack.
I mean, and that was crazy. Like, he just blew through that line, and just would not let go of what's his face?
Darnold. So, let's see. Well, that's the thing there, Fred. He says, if Kirk continues to struggle, do you think the Falcons trade him? He has a no trade clause. So it's going to be, does he want to be traded and does he waive it? So those are, yeah, it's not just as simple as they get to ship him off or do whatever. The contract that he signed says he's here this year and next at minimum,
Yeah,
which is
he's
something we have been saying.
he's full
From,
like the fully guaranteed parts of his contract are this year, next year.
yep. So
After next year, then you can try to find some wiggle room and some if you want to release him, if you want to trade
right,
him, there is some wiggle room there. First 2 years, not a whole lot.
nope. And that's like they signed up for 2 years, like for real, for real. They signed. That was something we said in the off season.
Yep.
We said as long as he was playing decent, he's here until he didn't want to be. Well, right now he's not playing decent, and that's just right now. What nobody talking about Penix in October. So let's move on. I guess since we're going to do this, the follower, obviously Kirk Cousins. Like nobody was talking about Michael Penix or lack of play action pass or anything else during the month of October when he's lighting everybody up.
Yeah.
When he's breaking Matt Ryan's franchise single season or single game passing record against Tampa Bay, right? So as the kids say, like, and I'm going to say this because I have no clue what the kids actually say, but as the kids say, keep that same energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yes, he's had a bad stretch of games. You know, being a professional, dealing with the amount of adversity that he has dealt with throughout his whole career, you figure that he can bounce back. Like outside of the picks, statistically, he still had a good game against the Vikings.
Yeah. Threw for over 300
bad
yards.
Decisions. Yeah. He just made some bad decisions, which is
And
unfortunately, yeah. 8 picks in 4 games, like Nick says. That's it's not what you want.
It is not what you want to see. But again, what I will say is some of the things that I've looked at that I've been looking for, even regardless of win loss whatever, is I'm looking for like play calling, game planning, like how's that stuff looking, and to be completely honest, like the game plan looked really good against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Again, you can look at if you just look at the final score and you say, oh, 42-21, oh, you guys got hammered.
I got smoked.
Yeah, and I get it, but at the end of the day, one of the best teams in the NFC, flat out, best run team in the NFL, we ran against them. They got a really good defense. We were able to move the ball against them. And for 3-ish to 3.5 quarters, we went toe to toe with them. Right. And then at the very, towards the end of the game, there were some mistakes, more mistakes made, and the defense couldn't quite hold up at the very end of that game. But like the defense wasn't allowing a whole lot of stuff to go down early in the game. Like I honestly, I think they got lucky with like the very first touchdown they had, where you had a guy just lost the ball because like Darnold severely underthrew that ball.
Oh yeah.
And if the guy, if I think it was it Hayes? I think it was Hayes, or I'm sorry, Hughes.
Mike Hughes.
If he's able to locate that ball, then either he's making a play and breaking it up, or he maybe even intercepts it. But like he lost it, couldn't reacquire the ball, and it was a walk-in touchdown. But like that wasn't a great pass by any stretch of the imagination. And but overall, defensively, offensively, we went toe to toe with them through the first 3+ quarters. And then the wheels kind of fell off at the very, very end, and that's how you get to the score we got to.
Oh yeah,
at the end of the game. But for the most part in that game, defensively, offensively, game plan wise, I really like what we were doing going up against one of the best teams in the NFC.
Right, ain't nobody arguing with you, Fred. 22 turnovers is ridiculous. Like
absolutely,
like ain't nobody arguing with that. And look, and like I want to remind most folks, like over the offseason, I was not super thrilled about signing Kirk Cousins. Like, because outside of Tom Brady in Tampa Bay and then Matthew Stafford in LA, signing an over 35-year-old quarterback hasn't necessarily worked out well. Like Russell Wilson still remains to be seen in Pittsburgh. It looks much better, but right now they're not paying him next to nothing. Now, if they decide to roll with him again next year and have to pay him a ton of money, I'll be interested to see how it goes, right?
Mhm.
So, like paying Kirk Cousins in the first year of everything being new, like I wasn't super high on. Like I wanted to have if you were going to draft a quarterback, especially if you fell in love with Penix, whatever, we can rehash all that a million times over. But if you even thought yeah, exactly. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, there's another perfect
Yep.
example. I was not a huge fan of it. Like, honestly, I was hoping that we could somehow pry Baker away from Tampa.
Yeah.
At least he was a youngish guy. And like, so more times than not, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm again reminded of both Philip Rivers and Matt Ryan in Indy. Like, these tend not to go well. So they hedge their bets, they sign the guy, and they draft, Penix. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah.
Do they end
Now,
up in the playoffs?
yeah.
Uh,
Now I'll say this. Tony brings this up. He leads the league in NFL or leads the NFL in interceptions with 15. He also leads all players with fumbles. I will say this. Uh, while I don't like the fact that he's leading in the interceptions, I'm not going to say that like that's a good thing. I would much rather. I'm okay with the interceptions part because sometimes you just got to give it up. It's like I made a play. The thing that probably annoys me more than anything else that's going on with Kirk right now is not the interceptions. Those they are what they are. It's the fumbles. It's like it's not even like guys were specifically going for the ball. They're just like wrapping him up, and and the ball's coming out of his hands.
right,
And stuff like that is what annoys me more than anything. Like, if you're going to take a sack.
right.
Don't
Just
make
go
it
down.
worse by don't make it worse by losing the ball. Don't try to play hero ball and try to
Nope.
get it out.
Just, just
Just eat it.
yeah. Like you protect that ball and you go down. That's
And
that's probably I'm with you. That's probably my biggest annoyance right now as far as the turnovers go. And uh Fred asked, "Do y'all think we just eat the money and cut Kirk?" No,
no,
I don't think
no,
so. Because honestly, right now, you can say what you want to say. This will go down as like the marquee move of Terry Fontenot. Like, and he's not going to pull that ripcord just yet. He's not going to be the guy who had the NFL's, like, at the time before Denver did what they did, the history's biggest dead cap just to
and then go
clean it
back for
up.
some more.
Right, just to clean it up to
Yeah,
do it again. Like, I don't
yeah.
like no, I don't think that happens. Now, if you get through, a couple games next season or what have you, and it's still and like it ain't looking better, I could see them, mid-season turn to Michael Penix or what have you. But I don't even think they have not alluded to one iota to making any kind of switch. And so right now, I don't think that, I think right now they're going to go down with the ship. Uh, let's see.
But and so who was it here? Tony again.
Yep.
He's saying we're not running the football enough. We always start games coming out passing as if passing out of the pistol formation instead of running the football, mixing our runs with passes. But I mean, if you look at this past game against the Vikings, we ran the ball 32 times. If you count Ray McLeod. Okay,
Right.
so Bijan ran it 22 times for 92 yards, 4+ average. Tyler ran it for 9 for 63 yards, giving him a 7 average. They each had a touchdown. I mean,
Right.
that was your offense, right? So at the end of the day, like we ran the ball plenty. Ran the ball for against that team. against that defense, which is the number one defense in the NFL against the run. Now, maybe some of that's because they jump out on people and don't give them a chance to get their run game going, and the run game doesn't stick around for the whole game. And maybe that's one reason why they're number one in the league. But at the end of the day, the stats are what they are. The rankings are what they are. They were the number, maybe they still are. But going into that game, they were the number one rush defense against the run in the NFL. And we went in there and rushed for over 150 yards on 32 attempts. So we ran the ball plenty in my estimation. It just, and again, we went up and down the field a lot of times, especially in that first half. That first half, we shot ourselves in the foot multiple times where we were in goal-to-go situations, and then we ended up having to settle either for a field goal or we ended up getting knocked out of field goal range or whatever. But we were moving the ball pretty easily and basically killing ourselves at the end of the day.
So Tony, you're basically saying you want to take some of the carries away from Bijan, who's been arguably your most consistent player, and give him to. So either way, you're talking about 18 times and 16 times. That's a little more. That's only 2 more times than what we carried at this past game.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what Jonathan's point is. Now, all you're doing here is saying, oh, well, let's divvy it up and give, Tyler some more. And that's fine. If you feel like that would be more beneficial, that's all fine. That's what I would call like semantics. You're still running the ball, and Bijan is being effective. So, now he adds us up by like plus, playing him in the slot. Well, that's what we did with Arthur Smith, and everybody hated that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's so funny. Like that's, a lot of things that we're asking for that was what Arthur Smith was doing last year, and like everybody hated it, right? Which I find funny because Josh Gillum's like, oh, we have the lowest play action rate in the league. That can't be a good thing. That's certainly a decision that they're making. If it's some are speculating because of right now, like it takes even a professional football player the first year back from an injury is not always the best year. So a lot of people are speculating, is Kirk mobile enough to do the play action? Can he plant off of this foot, and so on and so forth? So they're saying that may be the lack of play action. But again, I'll point back to that Bucs game. Nobody was calling for play actions after he passed for 509 yards. And it's not like we're not passing the ball. Our offense is moving the ball. We're just shooting ourselves in the foot on a regular basis, which is something that is still on the coaches. Like, I don't want y'all thinking we're trying to make excuses here. We're just trying to like point at what the root cause may be. Something I was looking at earlier. Now, granted, look, we ain't at. Let me get this where everybody can see what's going on here. Everybody see that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, granted, look, we ain't the Baltimore Ravens at 105 penalties so far this year. And I wish I'd had more time to fully break it down. But so you got delay a game, false start, offensive holding, offensive pass interference, and this one is offsides, which I guess could be offensive or defensive, right? So let's just take a first look at these two, which is false starts and offensive holding. These are clearly offensive penalties, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Baltimore's had 15 false starts, 23 offensive holdings. This year alone, or did I pass this? Yes.
Well, yeah, you passed us. There we are.
We are at 16 and 16.
Yep.
That means we've had 16 false starts and 16 offensive holdings. That is 32 penalties that have stalled or killed an offensive drive, an offensive possession. And I wish there was a better breakdown. I would love to know how many of those came in the red zone that have forced us to settle for field goals instead of being able to convert into uh, touchdowns. Now, let's go to last year just to take a full on look at it. Now, right now we're at 79 penalties total. That was as of right now. So last year we had 84 total penalties.
Yep.
84 total, and we had was that 24 false or 21 false starts and 10 offensive holdings. We've already surpassed offensive holdings, and within 4 games, like you could very well, what we're averaging, you're probably going to be over 21 false starts, unless they can get that stuff cleaned up. That's procedural penalties that you didn't really have last year. So
Now,
that's a
what I'll be interested to see, because I mean, people that are saying that try to get rid of Kirk in the offseason, whether it's through trade or cut or whatever. What I'll be interested to see is these guys get into the offseason, then you come back, you got the same coaching staff, because likely Zach Robinson, people, you hear Zach Robinson maybe go for head coaching, whatever. It'd probably be in his best interest to not do anything like that, because he'd probably go into a bad situation in most cases. But and then Jimmy Lake, maybe he comes back again. If the defense continues progressing like it's doing, I don't know who's maybe the most to who's most responsible for it. But if it's Jimmy Lake, then if the defense keeps progressing from a pass rush standpoint through the rest of the season, then you bring him back. So you get all the same defensive guys back. You get a lot of the same players offensively and defensively. Maybe a defense, you're going to swap out some guys there. But offensively, you probably are going to see a lot of the same guys coming back next year.
Right.
Maybe not Algier. I don't know. But maybe one more year with him.
Yeah, I think you should have one more contractual year with Algier, one more contractual year with Kyle Pitts. Now, I'll be interested to see if, like, in the offseason, do they move Pitts to a different team? Because, like, is he in the plans going forward, right? Because he definitely doesn't look like the same like type of player he was pre-injury. Like there's aspects of him that are still effective sometimes, but he's definitely not been the consistent player.
I don't need my tight end to be a freak of nature that I just need my tight end to be a guy who can go 5 to 10 yards down the field. Yeah, every now and then you're going to get him on a seam route down the field. You maybe get big plays out of that or whatever. I want a tight end that is the guy that can do the dirty work, that can get out 5 to 10 yards, use a big body, box guys out so that even when he's not open, he's open, have sure hands. And you give me that, and I'll take that every day at my tight end position.
I'll put it to you like this, and Fred's like, hey, I just wonder if you noticed when we were using Pitts, we were 6-3. I don't know if I would consider doing that 6-3. He had like one good game, but I get what you're saying. And now like we've stopped. I will say this about as far as Pitts is concerned, in my opinion, is he is better suited in a Travis Kelce type role. And right now, like he's not used that way because this is not how this offense is structured. That's the only problem there is, I would love to see them trade him to Kansas City. Let him be like the full-on heir apparent to Travis Kelce. If you can get a, 4th round pick for him, 3rd round, it's a first round. You ain't gonna get a first round pick for him, so you get that
No.
out your head.
If we
Plus,
can get a third round, I'd be
that
ecstatic.
would be nice, yeah. But I'm talking about like if you can get a fourth round pick for him, and he's still got a year left. He's under contract for 2025. So if you can move him, that gives a team year control with him, and let him go back to or let him go to being more of a focal point in the pass game because right now, if you go and look at, let's see, last year with Tyler Higbee. Let's take a look at Tyler
Well,
Higbee.
just while you're doing
Go
that,
ahead. No, go ahead.
Kyle Pitts in the Vikings game had one reception for 14 yards on 6 targets. And I know for a fact at least 2, if not 3 of those targets that he didn't bring in were right on his hands. And I mean right on his hands. And they might have been a little bit high, but it wasn't like it went off his fingertips. He was able to get full hands on it, and it went through his hands. And
So,
I saw that too many times. I've seen that too many times this year. Seen it too many times last year. He's not the reliable guy that you need. At least he hasn't shown to be that reliable guy that you need. That's like, we have to pick up this third down. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you want to look at Kansas City or any of the other teams that have like the really good tight ends. Like Detroit is another one that's got a good one.
yeah, Sam
Sam
Laporta.
Laporta, Brock Bowers, those guys. Like,
Well, the
third
deal with
down,
Brock Bowers, and Fred brought up Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers right now reminds me of Kyle Pitts in the first year. And what I mean by that is they have nobody else to throw to down there. They got rid of Devontae Adams. Jacoby Myers is their one. And it's kind of like when, we had Kyle Pitts as rookie year, you had Kyle Pitts and Olamide Zaccheaus. And that was it. So, like, that's all you really had to throw to. And so you got more to throw to. I mean, you had Darnell Mooney with 147 yards in this game.
yeah.
But like Tyler Higbee last year, he had 72 receptions, 620 yards with 3 touchdowns. This is the offense that Zach Robinson came from. I'm not saying he can't adapt, but I'm telling you, when you come in with this is the framework that I have in mind, this is how I plan on using my players, this is what you come away with. So right now, as it stands with Kyle Pitts, so keep that in mind, 600 something yards, 3 touchdowns, 72 receptions, right? He's got 36 receptions, 508 yards, and 3 touchdowns with 4 games left to go. So he ain't that, like, reception wise, he's a little off. But yardage wise and touchdowns wise, he's pretty much right there with what Tyler Higbee had, last year.
Unless something dramatically changes, either with Kyle Pitts becoming more reliable, or they're Zach Robinson changing how he calls the offense to feature him more. Like with as much as we use or don't use, Fred saying they never throw Pitts the ball. He catches have to get in what I don't understand the whole thing there, but I mean he had 6 targets.
Right.
Darnell Mooney had 7.
Right.
So Darnell Mooney had 7, caught 6 for 142 yards.
Well, that's it. That's the thing. It's the way this offense is structured. You can love it, hate it, whatever you want to do. Kyle Pitts was drafted by a guy who loves tight ends. That's Arthur Smith. Now you're in an offense, which we were all happy about. I'm trying to remind y'all, we were all happy about. Oh, good, we're going to get back to the 11 personnel. 100%, 100% getting back to 11 personnel. So that means you have 3 wide receivers to feed. In a 11 personnel offense, you got 3 wide receivers to feed, and your 1 tight end. They're interchanging in and out with Pitts and Charlie Warner to, open up the run game. It's just different usage. So, like, he needs to go to a place that is going to feature him more, whether that's a Kansas City, whether that's a, you know, give Drake May up in New England another target.
Yep.
That could be interesting.
Like I said, the kind of offense. Yeah,
Sorry.
Zach Robinson's not going anywhere.
Not just that, I just find it. There's part of me, like, obviously we are only griping and we are only complaining right now because we've had a bad 4 games, right?
Yeah.
These talks weren't coming up when Kirk Tober was going on and we were swag surfing. That's all I'm trying to get y'all to. I agree. That's fine. You got a tight end that should be much better, much more used. So, we'll see. And Fred with $2, appreciate you, Fred. He says I don't think Fontenot will get rid of Pitts. We'll see. Like, I'm not. It wouldn't surprise me.
No.
Another year in the, another year in the system. They've done some more tweakings. This past game, you did see a lot more like variety as far as the formations went, as far as the play call styles went. So I'm not saying that Zach Robinson can't adjust, but when you come in going, okay, this is my, I liken it to this, and I'm gonna paint this analogy and see if this helps what I'm trying to say. I've been a cook at a 5-star restaurant. This 5-star restaurant has, specialized in seafood. And even though when I get my own chance, I want to broaden the horizon, but maybe to start off with, I'm going to stick to the things I know I'm good at or the things that I know well, which is seafood, right? Then as I get comfortable in where I'm at and as I get the customer base rolling, then I'm going to start adding in some wrinkles or some other things. And so, maybe it's a situation such as that where, Zach Robinson come in with the McVay style offense, and it's going to take him a little bit of time to develop the Robinson style offense. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Well, and so one of the things I was trying to get to earlier was what I'm interested to see is basically exactly what you're talking about. Like, you get Zach Robinson coming in, first year play caller, first year really like putting together a game. He's probably helped, but has he put together his own game plan? No. He's probably anytime he's actually called plays, which was probably in the preseason, is from game plans maybe he put together, but probably was put together by somebody else and then he just ran off of it. Either way, this is his first year as a offensive coordinator.
Yep.
You get him through this season. He's had a lot of new players coming in. All of them were new because he was on a different team last year. So come back next year, whether Pitts is here or not. But I think Drake London will be here. Mooney, who's been probably your number one wide receiver for a good chunk of the season, at least comfort wise with Cousins. He's the guy that Cousins looks up all the time. So Mooney's coming back. You're probably going to have Ray back. You maybe bring back what's his face, the Cardinals guy that we traded Ritter for.
Oh crap, Moore? Isn't his last name Moore?
Rondale Moore.
Rondale Moore. Yeah.
So maybe you bring Rondale Moore back next year. But either way, the foundational pieces of your offense are all coming back next year. Now you have Zach Robinson coming in, a full year under his belt. The first year it's like trying to figure out exactly how you want to do preparation, figuring out all your players, what are they good at, what are they not good at. You do all of that throughout the end of this, throughout the season, and then you get to the end of the season, you do your self scouting. You look at what worked, what didn't work, what you need to improve on, what you did good at, and then come next off season. Now, yes, you're still going to do installs and you're still going to do all the same things you do normally, but you're bringing back a lot of people, your quarterback included, your wide receivers included, your running backs, your offensive line, everybody's coming back. And now they all at least have a base understanding of what you're wanting to accomplish on offense and how you want to go about things. Now you can start layering more things on top of that. Now you can start maybe focusing, whereas maybe the first year you're maybe less focused on the things that would help you from a offensive perspective when it comes to penalties, like the false starts, things like that. Maybe that's something that you look at in the offseason and be like, well, we got to really bear down on that. And you come back next year and you're able to get to those things easier because you're not trying to get everybody up to speed on just the game plan itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The basic foundations of the playbook and how the game plans are going to be, a lot of that stuff is going to be a lot of the same stuff from this year to next year. So now some of that is you have to give light reminders to as people come back from their breaks and things like that. So you can layer some more things on top of that can help you go further with it, which is kind of what we saw exactly with Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan from year 1 to year 2. Everybody kind of understood the offense a little bit better, so you could then add more to it the second year. And a lot of we saw a lot less penalties. We seemed a lot more prepared, and so forth and so forth. I think that's kind of where we're at. And I agree. It is our motto.
Yeah, I'm going to say Root 417 dropped this in well before we even got going tonight. He said, Falcons motto, there's always next year. There's a part of me, I kid you not, there's a part of me that's like, all right, you know what? Let's just get done with this season and move on to the off season and see how you're going to fix this. Because right now, 12 games, 13 games in, like we are what we are. I don't see any major drastic changes that can be made in season. Like maybe you can get back to not turning the ball over and scoring touchdowns, and that can at least be fun to finish out the year. But as it stands, we are who we are, and if we do somehow end up making it into the playoffs, then it's going to be short lived. I know, you never know what might happen. I get it. You never know. But for the most part, I got a pretty good idea that whoever ends up, if we win the division somehow, that whoever comes here is going to have a relatively easy game. Maybe not easy, but because these last 4 games aren't really even going to be indicative of what you're going to face in the playoffs. Maybe Washington. Now, New York's got a pretty decent defensive line, but they don't present much of a problem offensively. So the closest that you might get to a complete team, honestly, right now is Carolina. They're the ones that are looking to at least be feisty. That doesn't look like a cakewalk like it did at the first part of the season.
Yeah.
So, Belts over here. Thank you, Falcons, for taking Kirk off the Viking hands. Yeah, I mean, sure. Bet. Send us a Christmas card, I guess. Because,
I mean, at least that's a better comment than Vikings crying about it in the early part of the season when we were 6-3.
Right. Chris says 9 wins is all I want. At this point, as I said in the offseason, I just want it to be better than it has been. And if you beat, if you can win 3 more games and get 9 wins, that's at least 2 more than we've had the past 3 years. There's part of me that's going to laugh and be like, if we only get to 7 wins and we shipped off Arthur Smith just to get to 7 wins, because you see what he's doing, in Pittsburgh, that would kind of just make me shake my head. So we'll see how the rest of this, season plays out. Nick says, he says, lose to Ritter and I'm done. Yeah, it's the Ritter revenge game on Monday. Because Aiden O'Connell looks like he's down, Gardner Minshew's down, so it looks like they're going to start Ritter. It might be just what's the over under on turnovers in that game? Like, can I
Oof,
bet the
man.
over? Over under 3. Think there'll be more than 3 interceptions thrown. Let's see.
Quite a bit, quite a few.
He said this is a Super Bowl team. If we stop turning now, defense has got to get better. Like even in like the height of Kirktober, I still don't think you were going to be beating the Detroit Lions. Yes, you beat Philadelphia. They may be showing some cracks again, but right now, the NFC is the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, and
Minnesota.
Yeah, and Green Bay.
Yeah.
Always
the,
kind of
the NFC North is kind of reigning supreme this year after how many years of suckage outside of Green Bay, really.
Yeah, see, that's like King says, do you guys think if we had taken Fields and Penix at 8 and spent $180 million on the defense, we'd have a better or worse record? Be honest. It's hard to say, but I feel like I would have felt better about where we are regardless of the record. If that, like, I know that sounds like maybe a cop out, but I wanted them to do something along this lines. Like, if we were going to go this route, I wanted a Jacoby Brissett or a Justin Fields or what. I wanted a bridge quarterback to be able to take up 3/4 of a season and, before you brought in, Fields.
I mean, if I was going to go with either one of those two, it would have been Brissett, because at least that's a guy that is a pocket passer mostly. Right. Justin Fields, while he has looked better in some of the times that he's played for the Steelers, still, like, even now, like, there's too much there that you're just like, and I wouldn't want that to be the guy that you bring Penix in and you say, hey, learn from this guy. Like, learn watching this guy. If I'm going to have him learn watching anybody, it's going to be Brissett. That dude is a professional through and through. The guy has been around the league. He's won as a starter. He's been good as a starter. Justin Fields, at no point, he makes some splash plays here and there.
Yeah.
But at no point have I looked at him and be like, oh yeah, absolutely, that dude could be a starter somewhere.
Right.
Like, and Brissett, for a while there, I was like, this guy might turn out to be pretty good. Not the Mahomes level or anything like that, but he's a guy that you give him a really good team, a really good defense, and Justin Fields has had good defenses, and he's had some guys around him, and it just hasn't worked out.
That was my thing, is like, if you were going to, when we went into this offseason, knowing that you were going to do something at quarterback, I wouldn't have minded, Russell Wilson for a year, and you draft a guy like Penix. Like, I mean, I can go back and find the tweet, but I put up a poll, and it was done with sarcasm, and I guess I jinxed us because, like, I put, who would you rather have? And it was combinations of vet versus with young guy. And, one of the combinations was Kirk and Penix, and that's what we ended up with. So
I think if we'd gone Russell Wilson, I think the offense would have been similar, potentially.
Yeah.
Now the biggest difference is, like, I still think to this day, I think Kirk Cousins probably reads the field better. Does it now? Whether or not he makes that decision properly or puts the ball, like, I see too many times where he hitches, like he's almost like not 100% sure exactly what he's seeing sometimes. And if he can get past, when he was going good, we didn't see that.
No, he was gripping and ripping, and it was. Yeah. But that's the thing, is like, now the question is, I think, had you taken Russell Wilson and then spent $180 million on or $90 million on the defense, like because that probably would have secured you. Like you probably would have been able to outbid Texas and get Daniil Hunter. You might have been able to get um, a corner to, even though Mike Hughes hasn't played horrible, but you might have been able to get a better corner to play opposite AJ. You might have been able to upgrade your nickel position. D. Alford has kind of come back down to earth uh, this season. I don't know if it's just the scheme doesn't necessarily fit him as well, but you might have been able to get some other players besides, a Matthew Judon, who, albeit has been a miss. Yes, he's at 3.5 sacks and has been playing better, but uh, you might have been able to get somebody like if not Daniil Hunter, Jonathan Grenard, brought him back home, which
Yeah.
would have been fun. Gotten uh, a bigger nose tackle up front kind of thing. So, yes, had you been able to dump all that into the defense, I think we could have had a better record because there's been some games, say the offense plays pretty much as well. There were some games earlier in the season, had the defense been able to hold its water a little better, we probably would have won those games. So maybe not Justin Fields, but maybe, Russell Wilson for a year, especially
Yeah.
because you could have got him for like $1 million and, you draft Penix and know that like, hey, all right, look, Russ, this is your job and you can be this reclamation project. So, uh, yeah, we talked about Pitts earlier. Because right now he's definitely pushing with that number 4 overall pick. He's falling into that OJ Howard, who was the Ebron,
Yep.
Eric Ebron status. He's confirming why you don't draft a tight end
Well,
high.
look, if you draft him at 4 and he's the next coming of Kelsey, sure.
Nobody says
Or,
nothing.
or even if you draft him at 4 and he's Sam Laporta. Like if we were getting Sam Laporta production out of him, I'd be ecstatic about it. The problem is, again, this type of offense that we run uh, doesn't use the tight end in a way that would maximize somebody who's at who you drafted at 4. Um, so I don't think the usage that we get out of the position warrants the kind of investment that we have there now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure. Like I'm more like, look, I was fine with the decision. I'm still fine with the decision. Like it's like you take a swing. That's what the draft is. Nobody is guaranteed.
Yep.
Nobody. I don't care who they are. I don't care what pick they are. I don't care what position it is. I can point to as many, if not more, busts than hits, and that's why we do a draft every year. So I don't think I'm not upset with it. At this junction, you just have to be able to and willing to go, okay, this guy isn't working for us. Can we recoup something? Can we, uh, get something instead of just letting him walk? So that's now, granted, they could be talking to him thinking compensatory or what have you, but I ain't getting any of that. All right. So that we're going to pretty much about rounds it out for us. I do have an announcement that I want to make. Some of y'all have seen it, like mentioned or alluded to on the Twitter Spaces on the X's, but I just wanted to give y'all a full on heads up. This will be the last season of Pound for Pound. That's the decision mainly on my part. I've been doing this since 2016, and honestly, I'm burnt out doing it. I'm burnt out, like analyzing it, trying to figure it out. Still full on a fan, uh, still my team, but I don't have the passion and the drive to give y'all the product that I feel y'all deserve. as far as like diving into schematics and players and all that jazz. Now, like I said, we're gonna finish out this season,
Yep.
but I didn't want to just like hit y'all with it whenever the last game was. Kind of want to have like just have some fun as we roll out this season. It's not because the team is losing, because if
Yep.
that was the case, I'd have quit years ago. I would have quit in 2018, you know what I'm saying, or 2019.
Yeah.
But it's just been, yeah, like I said, I just don't have the passion nor the drive to keep doing it. And there's like, it seems like every other day there's a new channel popping up. And I know that sounds cheesy, but the algorithm is a mystery in a way that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Uh, we lose subscribers pretty much weekly. Uh, we have stalled big time at the little over 5,000 mark. We don't get near now. Dre, Nick, Chris, Fred, like all Willie, all y'all who show up week in and week out, y'all are the reason why we're still here.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And what I said at the very beginning of this show, like, when we go a couple weeks, like specifically like in the off season and things like that. Hold on one second. Appreciate it, Willie.
Thank you, Willie. A lot.
But yeah, there have been many weeks where like in the lead up to the show, I'm like, it's like, do I really want, this and that and the other? But once I get in the show and I get to talking to JR and we're working, conversing with chat and all this stuff. Like this is I love doing it, but yeah, there are definitely times where I'm just like, I'm not sure if I want to keep going. JR
Yeah.
was in the same boat.
Well,
And somebody asked, what was that? What am I going to do? For now, I'll probably step away. I might, if it, if the mood hits me at some point later on down the road, maybe I try to start up my own channel.
there you go.
Who knows? But as it stands right now, whenever the season ends, whether it's the end of the regular season,
Yeah.
we make it to the playoffs, whatever that is, whatever the last game of our season is, that'll be the last time for us. Now, maybe I'll try to get on with like some of the guys if they want to do something for the draft or something like that, because I still really like doing that. Maybe I'll do my own like live stream for the draft if anybody wants to join there. But I don't know. That's probably one of my most fun things that I've learned, that I've come to like really love doing, is live streaming during the draft and watching either, hell yeah, we got the guy, or like, what in the world are we doing? Like this past year when we picked up Penix, I was like,
man, yeah, that was. But the thing is, like, to be blunt, to be as frank, as we tend to be, like, I don't want to get on the show and half-ass it.
Yeah.
And like, yes, y'all get to chat with us for an hour, but like it's more than just that. The amount of time that is put in behind the scene to make sure that, hey, I do understand and know what we're talking about here. And then especially getting into the off season when it's draft and free agent and who fits this scheme and that scheme and what moves are going to be made and what should be made and all this other thing. It's just more than I feel like doing. I felt it this past off season for sure. Like when we fired Arthur Smith, I was like, not that I was all butthurt about Arthur Smith, but it was the concept of, do I want to go through this again? As in, who are we going to hire? What schemes are they going to run? What players do we need to fit those schemes? Those are fun to talk about, but I don't want to do more than just talk. I want to be able to bring valuable information and insight. And if I'm unwilling to put in the time, then it's fabrication. and I don't want to be false. Yeah. Plus, like Dre says, uh, there are plenty of guys out there who do like Smitty and Berto and Chris with A1. Those guys do an amazing job. Big Low is awesome. As far as like his content, like he brings a smile to your face almost every time. And y'all may still see me pop up on there from time to time. Uh, maybe not this next season, but maybe after that. I don't know. For those, I may even take a break on X, but if you follow me on X, I'll still be there. Uh, I may post some stuff here and there, but for the most part, yeah, I need a break for a while.
Yeah.
I need a
Yep.
break from the heartache, and I kind of want to go back to being, when we started this, it was because there wasn't a lot of positive voices out there. And I have found myself over the years understanding more so why there wasn't a ton of positive voices, because I have started to turn into one of those not so positive voices, and I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
like that about myself, or about the situation. So I need to kind of get back to being just a fan. Uh Tony Wright says, I get it. Life happens. Yeah, it does. It does. He says, God bless you and your family. I've enjoyed and appreciated of all you, John, JR, Jonathan, and Toby. Yeah, it's been an awesome 7 years. It's been fun, way more than I ever thought when I first came out with Falcon Eye View, and it was all Jonathan's fault. I've said it a million times
Yeah.
because I used to just talk football with Jonathan, and then Jonathan had to go and get married, and didn't want to talk to me no more, and so I started talking
You
to my
could have
phone.
picked up the phone too, man. Understand?
I don't do phone, man. The hell with phone. But no, like so I started talking to my phone, and obviously it became what it became. I don't know how many people who do it now have cited me and Toby as being one of the reasons why they do it, and that's always made me feel good. Uh, but like I said, there's so much out there that I know y'all ain't gonna be lacking.
Yeah. There's plenty out there. And like I said, like it's was been like 2 seasons with me and you.
Yes, 2 seasons with me, and you came in at the tail end of 3 seasons ago, like
Yeah.
towards the end of it. But it's
There's
been
the
two.
second season of Arthur
Or the
Smith, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been 2 full seasons with me and you. Toby
And
had to
I,
step away, and
when he asked me to join, I was like, wait, really?
oh yeah,
And it's been one of my favorite things that I've done in my life in the last with these last 2 seasons.
yep,
Uh, if for no other reason than to give me a good reason to once a week be able to shoot the shit. Pardon my
yeah,
language,
you're fine.
but shoot it with Jr. And then over time getting to know the guys in chat, getting to know the community, and I've met the guys from Out of Your Falcon Mind. I've met a bunch of different guys.
He's made a
Uh,
play also we can keep getting, like I said, like we'll do it, like as long as they got a game that they're going on, like we're not going in until they end. But
let Kirk Cousins know if he want as long as he keeps winning, man, we'll
we'll
keep
keep.
showing up.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like we just didn't want to blindside y'all at the end of the season.
Yeah,
We wanted to let y'all know that was coming, so there won't be any draft coverage on the channel. Like I said, when the last game is done, we'll do one more show to wrap up the game and wrap up the season, and have one last hoorah kind of thing. But we have
if anything changes from my side of the fence, Jr. Nothing's going to change for him.
yeah, no,
But
I'm done.
but if anything changes, if I decide to like pick up the slack and try do something different, then I will absolutely let you guys know. But
Yeah,
as it stands right now today, I don't envision once the season's over, one way or the other. At the very least, I may take some time away just to, for one, give my wife her Tuesday nights back, and
yeah, and that's
for a little
that's
bit.
another thing is like my my daughter's getting older, and
Yeah.
like I don't want to lose these years, so to speak. So Chris says his pound for pound hat is about to become a collectible. It is. It is.
Yeah.
Like you're one of the few people that has one. I
Got
thought
my
about
pound
that
for
today.
pound hoodie. I got my pound for pound hoodie. That's like one of my favorite things that I own.
That's it. That's it. All right, folks. That's enough of that for now. We'll be back next week. Same pound for pound time, same pound for pound channel.
Yep.
Hopefully talking about a win on a Monday night. So we appreciate y'all. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.